27 News at 11 starts now with your forecast first with Chief Meteorologist Eric Finkenbunder.
Good evening, everyone. Now it feels a little more like winter compared to 24 hours ago where we had spring-like rains. Now we're dropping below freezing. The wind's still kicking around as we look across Commonwealth Charter Academy in Harrisburg. We are watching some snow showers, primarily across areas in Mifflin, Juniata, Snyder counties, as we get one line that's going to be moving out of Center County. It's going to be heading into parts of really the northern half in the ridge and valleys. That will lead to some snow showers. Tomorrow morning, it will be chilly. It will still be breezy and temperatures will be below freezing. We'll talk about a bounce back in milder air. That's coming up.
Amid coronavirus fears, worry on Wall Street and another major dip in the Dow Jones. So what should you do? Is it time to act now? We'll have expert insight.
The ABC27 investigators discover a former police chief is under investigation.
5 fatal fires in Lancaster County is raising alarms. What officials are planning to do.
Now, live from your local news source, this is ABC 27 News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Dennis Owen.
I'm Alicia Richards, so glad you're with us. Our top story tonight, another American infected with coronavirus. That makes 15, and now health officials are worried it could spread in her community.
Officials say the California resident didn't go to a high-risk area and didn't come in contact with anyone who was sick. And now health officials are working against the clock to identify the source.
Every single delay in testing means potentially the virus could go to hundreds or thousands of more people.
Meanwhile, a whistleblower complaint is raising questions about the safety of Americans who are assigned to treating those in quarantine. The complaint claims that employees at 2 U.S. military bases were working without protective gear or proper training. And this virus isn't just affecting people's health, it's also taking a toll on stocks. Just today, the Dow plummeted nearly 1,200 points.
Yeah, that is the biggest one-day point drop ever. Alex Peterson spoke with an investment expert about why this is happening and what it could mean, Alex.
Yeah, guys, our expert says in the past, virus scares and all this uncertainty has led to the market reacting fast and with intensity. That's exactly what we've seen all this week, most notably today. Goldman Sachs even predicting today in a report that no American company will generate earnings growth during all of 2020.
A market sick with uncertainty.
When there are unknowns like this that happen, they create tremendous sell-offs.
Investment advisor Bob Kaplan says coronavirus concerns are already rolling back projections of how companies will fare over the next year.
We're already seeing profits of estimated profits being rolled back. People just start selling because they don't want to wait around to find out what the truth will be. They'd rather have cash.
The pinch felt by American auto and tech industries that get their parts from Asia, specifically China, fueling worry that supply chains may be impacted. Airlines, Kaplan says, are also soaring, but in the wrong direction.
Concern of people flying anywhere and being exposed to a virus like this is reducing the amount of people on planes and in turn putting pressure on stocks.
American Airlines stock down more than 9% in 2 weeks. United and Delta down over 6%. Goldman Sachs predicting, quote, a more severe pandemic could lead to a more prolonged disruption and a U.S. recession. But Kaplan says there is some good news.
Being invested in stocks after these tremendous drops are incredibly profitable.
He says history shows values do rebound, but it takes time. Focus now, he says, should be on the long term.
It is absolutely not a time to go out and sell what you have.
Yeah, so in his view, hold off on making any big changes to your 401k until the market is more stable. Kaplan says positive news from the major centers of this virus and fewer cases will create confidence once again in the market. So will any treatments, but any potential vaccines, as we told you yesterday, are still a year or more away. In the studio, Alex Peterson, ABC 27 News.
Alex, thank you. A Dillsburg, York County couple in quarantine because of this virus is hoping to be back in the mid-state next week. William and Colette Smith medley spent 10 days in quarantine on the Diamond Princess cruise ship off the coast of Japan. Then they were brought to Texas and put in quarantine again. If they don't develop any symptoms, they'll be allowed to fly home to the Mid-State on Monday. You can get the latest developments on coronavirus anytime at ABC27.com. Just hover over the news tab and select coronavirus. We got a lot of great information there, including a map updating the states that have confirmed cases, plus resources from the CDC and an interactive coronavirus timeline.
Authorities in Wisconsin have released the name of a gunman who killed 5 employees at Molson Coors before taking his own life. 51-year-old Anthony Farrell was an electrician at the Milwaukee company. Police say he brought a gun into the building yesterday afternoon. Investigators are now searching Farrell's home. No word yet on a motive.
5 people have died in fires in Lancaster County alone so far this year. The one common thread, a lack of smoke detectors. Now fire officials are taking swift action. Sarah Gisrael joins us with that. Sarah.
Alicia, this past weekend's fire that killed 2 people in West Hempfield Township sounded the alarms across the county and prompted officials to act quickly in teaching Fire Safety 101. Overhauling fire education countywide isn't simple, but these guys go into burning buildings for a living. They can handle it.
We got all the important players together to try and figure out what is this plan going to look like moving forward so we can do a better job to try and prevent some of these tragedies.
Lesson 1, understanding what exactly makes fires dangerous.
Most people who perish in fires do so because of just a few breaths of hot, toxic smoke.
Our modern homes are filled with synthetic materials that burn hotter and faster than ever, and that leaves people with an average of 2 minutes to safely exit.
2 minutes that can be aided if residents spend a few minutes in the county's fire safety trailer.
We're going to pull the pin, squeeze, and sweep at the base of the fire.
People think that they might be able to make it down through the middle stairwell here with all the smoke, and the reality is they cannot.
But no demo holds a candle to the first line of defense.
Recent fires we've had, the biggest thing we want to talk about is having smoke detectors, being able to hear them where you sleep, and sleeping with your bedroom door closed.
Best recommendations is 1 per floor and in every single bedroom of the home.
Every bedroom in Lancaster could have smoke detectors, but to sleep soundly, everyone should be thinking about fires before they happen.
While help from our local fire companies may be only minutes away, these are the most critical minutes.
Now, this is really just the tip of the iceberg. The Lancaster County Firemen's Association has started to plan a safety breakfast where 2 members of every fire company in the county will be invited to share ideas and learn about the best way to get fire safety info out there. Dennis?
Sarah, good reminders there. Thank you so much. Former State Senator Mike Fulmer is pleading guilty to child pornography charges. He appeared in Lebanon County Court today. In exchange, the Attorney General's office agreed to let his sentences run concurrently. Fulmer could face 12 to 24 months in prison. A woman who attended today's hearing is a former supporter of Fulmer, tells us she was hoping for stricter, harsher penalties.
I'm very upset. You know, even though he pled guilty and he's going to go to jail, I don't feel that the penalties are harsh enough for these people.
Fulmer's sentencing hearing is set for May 26th.
The owner of a now closed dairy plant in Franklin County is pleading guilty to running a Ponzi scheme. Philip Reel is the majority owner of Trickling Springs Creamery. Prosecutors say he took nearly $60 million from hundreds of Amish and Mennonite investors. The creamery abruptly closed last fall amid the investigation. Reel's sentencing is scheduled for June. He faces a maximum 45 years in prison.
And the former mayor of Baltimore is going to prison on federal conspiracy and tax evasion charges. Catherine Pugh was sentenced to 3 years after pleading guilty. She sold a self-published children's book to nonprofits to promote her political career and fund her campaign for mayor. The Democrat was elected in 2016 and resigned last May. New tonight, 4 children are injured after a car crashed into a daycare in Bucks County. It happened at the Children of America daycare in Upper Southampton Township this afternoon. The district attorney says there were 17 kids inside at the time. Most of them were napping when the driver crashed. They're 3 to 4 years old.
I didn't know how it happened. I just heard a car ran into the front. I had no clue how it happened or why it happened.
One child is in serious condition. All police are saying about the driver is that she is a delivery driver.
Also new tonight, Philadelphia was just a few days away from opening a safe injection site, a place where addicts could inject drugs under medical supervision, but also hopefully get into rehab and counseling. But now the owner of the location has canceled the lease. There was backlash from people who live in that South Philly neighborhood.
Governor Wolf's budget proposal includes cutting funding for the School Safety and Security Fund. Governor Wolf is only proposing $15 million. The fund's been getting $60 million since it was established 2 years ago. The money helps schools improve their security. But now the Wolf administration wants to focus on mental health services.
The vast majority of that funding has gone towards hard security upgrades, so things like metal detectors or new doors, new security systems. Those are typically one-time costs for school districts, and they don't require recurring funding.
We're moving $45 million from school safety. That needs to be restored. Our schools are counting on that.
The Wolf administration says the governor is calling for $400 million to go toward public schools, and that money could be used for security costs.
And coming up tonight, an ABC27 investigation uncovers an investigation into a former local police chief, what he's being accused of. ABC27 has learned a former Cumberland County police chief is under investigation for fraud.
Senior investigative reporter Kendra Nichols found this information in a civil suit that was filed in Cumberland County.
A former police officer filed this civil lawsuit against Middlesex Township and former police chief and public safety director Barry Sherman. They are accused of whistleblower retaliation, wrongful discharge, and violating the Pennsylvania Wiretap Act. Well, this complaint also reveals a state police investigation into Sherman for allegedly falsifying reports and grants. Former Middlesex Township police officer Andrew Wolf filed this lawsuit against Middlesex Township and his former police chief Barry Sherman. Wolf claims after he suffered an injury on the job that required surgery and time off from work, Sherman demoted him when he returned to the job. Wolf says he became a victim of harassment, saying audio listening and recording devices were placed in the police squad room and his police vehicle in an attempt to find information that could be used against him. The complaint also reveals that in April of 2016, Wolf was approached by Pennsylvania State Police and told Sherman was under investigation for fraud. Wolf then provided information to State Police about Sherman falsifying motor carrier safety reports, township contracts for road work, hiring for road crew, and falsification of seatbelt grants. The complaint goes on to say Sherman later confronted Wolf and said he was aware he was being investigated and they should get on the same page. The complaint also claims in November 2016, 7 months after Wolf was interviewed by state police, Sherman told Middlesex Township supervisors Wolf was the one responsible for the investigation by state police and he should be denied promotion and be terminated. Wolf was fired 8 months later. State police tell us their investigation into Sherman remains open. No charges have been filed at this time. Sherman's attorney, Brian Perry, says it is his understanding the investigation is closed and that after many years of service, Sherman is looking forward to enjoying retirement. Sherman resigned from his position as the director of public safety in December. It is not clear if the state police investigation led to his resignation. We asked the Attorney General's office if it was involved in this investigation, and I was told they could not comment. Now, as for this civil case, Wolf is suing for damages and lost wages. With the ABC27 investigators, I'm Kendra Nichols.
And coming up, a windy and cold night as we take a live look at Manheim, Lancaster County. Luckily, a change is on the way next week. Eric will have that in his full forecast.
You're watching ABC 27 News, your local news source.
So winter stopped by today, but spring will be returning shortly.
Within a few short days, when we turn to the next calendar month, we're looking at spring bouncing back very, very quickly. Until then, It's just, I'm nervous. I have to talk about snow showers. When's the last time that happened? Let's actually zoom in and show you. Yes, we do have some snow showers. What we're finding out, closer to State College, we had some of these, and they were borderline squalls, what we saw closer to State College. They've been dropping south and east, moving through parts of Mifflin and Juniata Snyder, just now beginning to move over Perry County. Would not be surprised, dusting, just enough on that windshield. But I was watching Mifflintown. I'm not sure if we can see it anymore. Every once in a while, when you look at the lights, of course, on the rooftop, you could see the swirling of the snow just kind of mixing around. So that's just telling us, okay, this is legit, but this is not going to produce, widespread problems. But nonetheless, there is some snow showers moving through our Ridge and Valley regions, north and west of Harrisburg. All right, there's a lot going on here. I'm going to step off and show you. The left-hand side, that's the temperatures. Then in the middle, the wind speeds, you add them together, that's what it feels like outside. 16 degrees right now at Warwick Middle School, and It's 20 at the Upper Adams Middle School in Biglerville. The wind speeds, I want to show you what happens for tomorrow. It's not going to be brutally windy like it was earlier today and gusty, but it's going to be breezy and enough that we can still talk about that chill throughout our Friday. Same goes for Saturday, so it's not just a 24-hour deal. The winds kind of want to hang around for a little bit. They haven't been around that often, and that cold certainly hanging around a little bit, at least into Saturday night before we begin to bounce back. All one large system. You're hearing about the blizzard conditions, and that's mainly because of the lake effect snow and the winds that we see whipping across the open lake waters of Lake Erie. Not often are we talking about the open waters across Lake Erie at this time of the year, but certainly a warm winter has done that for us. I want to show you a mix of clouds and sun for Friday, same for Saturday. When we're this cold, we tend to see just dry air kind of locking in, not really giving us much chances for any of the snow. Of course, the lake effect snow bands and the machine kicking in right along Lake Erie. So for us, we're just focused on what's going to be a chilly start to the weekend and a breezy start. But as Dennis mentioned, as soon as we jump right into March, we're jumping right back into springtime warmth. And it's unseasonable, by the way. So Sunday, we're jumping up about 10 degrees for the high. Then we move into Monday, 50s, near 60 Tuesday. The warmer we get next week, the higher likelihood for rain, and that's why I expect Wednesday to be sort of that rainier day for us.
24 to 62 degrees in just a matter of a couple of days.
Jumping pretty quickly.
Thanks, Eric. All right, Damon Turbin here now. What's coming up in sports?
Well, we have more District Hoops. We have 3 more games tonight. We have some repeat champions in action. We got overtime, a lot of good stuff from Giant Center coming up in a few minutes.
Tonight's military hero is Donald McCurdy from Fanitsburg, Franklin County. He served in the Army's 82nd Airborne Division from 1950 to 1952. We salute you, sir, and we thank you for your service.
Lawyers from former President Obama are demanding a Republican super PAC stop airing a certain ad. The ad from the Committee to Defend the President claims Joe Biden supports, quote, plantation politics. Obama's lawyers say that statement was made by a barber 20 years ago and is quoted in Obama's book. A cease and desist letter orders the ad be pulled where it's airing, which is South Carolina.
This ad comes just 3 days before South Carolina holds its primary. Biden expects to win the state, and according to a poll by Nexstar and Emerson College, he's in the lead with 41%, followed by Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg.
The current frontrunner Bernie Sanders is getting hammered at the 2020 Conservative Political Action Conference. As Jesse Tenor reports, Republicans are targeting his Medicare for All plan.
Even though he won't step foot inside this year's Conservative Political Action Conference,
Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders is the center of attention.
You surely don't want socialized medicine.
House Minority Whip Steve Scalise was quick to criticize Sanders' signature Medicare for All plan and how it might have impacted his treatment after the 2017 congressional baseball shooting.
I would not be here today without the greatest healthcare system on the face of the planet.
Senator Marsha Blackburn told the crowd why a Sanders presidency would change more than health care.
They will tell you what your education is going to be, where you're going to live, what kind of car you're going to drive.
Sanders has defended his policies for years, arguing the U.S. already operates under a socialist government by propping up corporations.
What I want is a democratic socialism that works for working families, not just billionaires.
But Blackburn even likened Sanders' policies to a dictatorship, focusing on his recent comments about Fidel Castro's literacy program when he first came to power.
My goodness, he was probably excited that Castro was teaching them how to read the Communist Manifesto.
But Sanders stands by his comments.
Teaching people to read and write is a good thing. I have been extremely consistent and critical of all authoritarian regimes all over the world.
Voters will decide, though, who gets the last word. In Washington, I'm Jessie Tenor.
And still ahead on ABC27 News at 11, the state's increasing efforts to combat the opioid epidemic. What is now available at airports in Pennsylvania?
The state is now giving naloxone to Pennsylvania airports. That is the opioid overdose reversal drug. The announcement was made by Pennsylvania's health secretary at Harrisburg's airport today. The goal is to help make large public venues able to provide this life-saving medication. It'll be accessible to airports' public safety teams.
So this was sort of the first step in starting to roll out naloxone into every airport. Some airports are covered by EMS departments who would normally carry the naloxone. I think our effort takes that one step further and asks that the naloxone actually be on premises.
Other airports that'll get it include Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Williamsport, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, University Park, and Lancaster.
The Horse World Expo is this week in Harrisburg. It rolled into town today. The event attracts the nation's top equestrians and entertainers for 4 days and has hundreds of vendors selling horse products and services, along with demonstrations and competitions. Organizers say the event is fun for everyone.
The show is definitely geared towards the horse person, but we love families, and the families love to come out and see the horses. You do not have to be a horse owner to enjoy this show.
And the Horse World Expo, held at the Farm Show Complex, is one of the largest equestrian trade shows in the nation.
Cool. Well, it is almost time for another Ice and Fire Festival in Harrisburg. There'll be 31 ice sculptures, an ice slide and skating rink, and performances by fire dancers. There'll be adult beverages to pour over ice. 10,000 people attended last year. The event will be next Saturday, March 7th, from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. The event is paid for by sponsors.
Speaking of hot and cold, Joel Embiid of the Sixers has been both. We've got an update on his shoulder injury. Damon Turbot shares the news and shows us if Philly can get it done without him tonight. That's next in sports.
District basketball championships wrapping up this weekend. The final wave of title games underway tonight at Giant Center in Hershey. 4A boys title back and forth between McDevitt and Lancaster Catholic. This is McDevitt's Jake Kelly inside, getting it to go off the glass. Both teams are the Crusaders, so we'll just say Lancaster Catholic's David Kamwanga answering with a three from the corner. Then on the drive, pass dumped off to Trey Wells. He scores the deuce. This one a ton of fun. Ball swung to Kelly. McDevitt going to connect from outside. Keeping the theme going is his teammate, Kenyon Elliott. Nobody guarding him, says, all right, I'll shoot it, and he cans it. This game ends up going into overtime. Ball was dumped off to Wells again for two more easy ones. Lancaster, they're down double digits in the second half. They win it at the buzzer in OT, 61-59. They are your 4A boys champions. Some of the best girls basketball in PA is being played right here in the Mid-State. Lancaster Catholic's girls, your 2018 state champions in 4A, and then DeLone Catholic, your defending state champs in 3A. Both in action, looking for their own district crowns tonight. Let's start with LC in Eastern York. Naomi Zuleta scores off the steal for the Crusaders. Jumping out to a big start in this one, Cassie Paris muscles her way in, and she scores for Catholic. And the two-time defending district champs showing off the range. Brianna Hicks doing the honors. Catholic in control in the first half. Eastern York makes two big pushes in the second half. Brianna Grimm going to score to cut into the deficit. And then it gets down to a two-possession game in the last few minutes. Big play here. Victoria Zerby with the board and the bucket, plus the foul. Zuleta, though, a difference maker for Lancaster Catholic. Misses once, misses twice. Third time's a charm. Lancaster Catholic wins its third straight District 3 title. Yeah, that's right. Celebrate with your fans. 53-43 is your final. And now DeLone Catholic taking on Trinity. Trinity coming out with some energy. Jocelyn Dorsey finagling her way around to a couple around the basket. And Jalen Moore in stride gets in for an easy lay-in. Shamrocks hanging in there for a little while, but DeLone ends up running away. Abby Jacoby knocks down a corner three. And guess who? Jacoby, unchecked on the break. That's a mistake because that's another corner three. Finally, one of the other stars for the Squires, Brooke Lawyer. She gets three. This time the old-fashioned way, and DeLone beginning its state title defense with a #1 seed. They win the 3A crown 44-22. The Sixers getting some good news regarding Joel Embiid's shoulder injury. Had to leave the Sixers' last game against the Cavaliers. No structural damage, avoiding what looked like potentially a big loss, but Philly will be without the big man for at least the next couple of games. He'll be reevaluated in a week. That means Tobias Harris will have to carry the load against the Knicks tonight without Ben Simmons for the near future, too. Here's Harris knocking down the trailing three. Fills in just fine. Doubled in the post. Finds the cutting Matisse Thybulle for the big jam. Game's close down the stretch, even though it's the Knicks, but a lot of injuries. Harris adds 3 more. He drops 34. Sixers 28-2 at home. They win at 115-106. And in the NHL, Capitals north of the border in Winnipeg, Canada, struggling against the Jets. Jets score first. They're the only team to score. Caps get shut out 3-0 on the road.
Matisse Thybulle, that's slam dunk.
You know, he was all defense to start with, and now he's kind of finding his way on the offensive end. I think Sixers fans are going to be really excited about him. He's a rookie, and he's got a lot of good years.
Matisse, a work of art. I can't help myself.
I know that. Okay, Eric.
We've got some snow showers right now in parts of, now moving in parts of Perry County, soon to be upper Dauphin County and northern Franklin. Enough that there could be a little bit of a dusting in spots, but that's all that we're really talking about when it comes to snow. We do have the cold and the breeze yet for Friday and Saturday. Then we bounce back quickly, feeling more like spring next week.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you so much for being here. Jimmy Kimmel's next.
Our next report's on Daybreak at 4:30. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.